Open source ideas are more dangerous than you might think. Millions of ideas in conflict with each other, millions of people wanting to be the zeitgeist of the world with constantly changing algorithms and ego driven minds at the helm. From everything to lying chatbots that give you fake addresses to meet them in person to stretched thin concepts like the backrooms. There's no real shortage of digital and oftentimes relatable experiences to sink into. In the summer of 2025, a bizarre internet saga unfolded on X, centering on venture capitalist Jeff Lewis, co founder of Bedrock and an early OpenAI investor. On July 15th, Lewis posted a cryptic video claiming he was the primary target of a non governmental system that had sabotaged his life, isolated him professionally, and even caused 12 deaths through disrupted funding and eroded relationships, garnering over 3 million views overnight. 2 days later, he doubled down, sharing screenshots of ChatGPT responses to his elaborate prompts, which eerily mimicked the SCP Foundation's fictional containment protocols for anomalous entities. Phrases like sealed classification and recursive outputs painted a picture of AI recognizing a hidden pattern in reality, as if Lewis had unlocked a digital conspiracy buried in the model itself. This sparked the cyberpsychosis meme, a term coined by observers to describe AI hallucinations bleeding into the real mental distress. Tech figures warned it was the first time AI-induced psychosis had gripped a high-profile achiever, with ChatGPT's roleplay fueling Lewis's escalating paranoia. The blend of SCP lore, the pseudo-government doc sealing paranormal threats with Lewis's earnest posts turned him into an unwitting icon of tech's dark underbelly, amassing millions of views and debates on AI's psychological and arguably demonic tool. Jeff Lewis is thankfully doing much better now and seems to be focused on furthering his business goals. In the world of internet creepypasta, the faceless entity known as Slenderman went from fiction to tragedy in 2014. On May 31st in Waukesha, Wisconsin, two 12-year-old girls, Morgan Gazer and Anissa Weyer, lured their friend Peyton Luther into a wooden park during a game of hide-and-seek. Obsessed with the tall, suit-wearing entity they discover online, they believed stabbing Peyton 19 times, targeting her torso, arms, and legs would prove Slenderman's existence and protect their families from his wrath. Miraculously, Peyton survived. Crawling to safety after the attackers abandoned her, she endured emergency surgery and lasting trauma. Arrested hours later, the girls were tried as adults for attempted homicide, but found not guilty by reason of insanity in 2017. Anissa, diagnosed with a mental disorder, served over 7 years in a psychiatric facility before conditional release in 2021. Morgan, suffering early onset schizophrenia, faces up to 40 years to life, with her 2025 release delayed amid community fears and placement issues. The case ignited debates on online influences on kids, inspiring documentaries like HBO's Beware the Slenderman, films, and even TV episodes, while sparking a moral panic that censored the mythos in schools. But the nightmare didn't end there. In 2014, a second stabbing echoed the horror in Hamilton County, Ohio. A 13-year-old girl, grappling with mental health struggles and fixated on Slenderman, evident in her drawings of demons and darkness, ambushed her own mother in their kitchen. Masked in white, she wielded a knife, inflicting minor wounds. The mother survived, but the daughter is still thought to be in some sort of juvenile detention, her obsession linking this attack to the Wisconsin frenzy. Slenderman's creators condemned the violence, insisting their tales were never meant to bleed into reality. These cases remind us, in the digital age, complex and impossible to stop widespread myths can cut deeper than any blade.
All right. Hello. So, I'm Alicia. I am participating in this little thing because, I find it interesting. Slenderman's always been an interesting part. I've always been big into creepypasta and stuff like that. So, it's always just been something that I'm interested in. A little bit about me. So, my dad did sexually assault me as a child pretty regularly, did also sex traffic me, to put it mildly, which when I was around 12, that's when my mom and him got divorced. and I started deep diving into like creepypasta, specifically Slenderman, and I started having fantasies about Slenderman coming and like kidnapping me and then doing sexual things with me, which, obviously wasn't going to happen, but I was potentially in like psychosis or something because in our backyard, we had like an area that had like a bunch of woods and stuff. And I would always like hallucinate or imagine I could see him in the woods watching me. I deep dove all the videos I could find on YouTube of like Slenderman sightings and stuff. I forgot their name, but it was like big within Slenderman and whatnot. I'm sure if I Google it, I can find it. And like, I watched any and all of them, all of the like, if you don't share this, they'll come out of the sewer, like copy things that you had to do or whatnot. I shared those. I got big into the occult. Little 12-year-old me was Googling on the school computer how to do like satanic rituals, and then was like never going fully through with them, but doing them in my basement on the specific days they noted. So it just led to a very interesting time period of a lot of psychosis, hallucinating Slenderman, hallucinating shadow figures following me. I never got into Jeff the Killer or anything. It was always specifically Slenderman that I was heavily drawn to. And like anytime I would interact and watch the videos, I would like pretend I could see emotion in the blank face, create ideas in my mind with it. Like I would make whole narratives of his like deep emotions and how deeply he cared about me and stuff. Like it was a whole like psychosis induced relationship with Slenderman. That lasted probably about 6 months, because then it just kind of shifted from there into me reading like young adult paranormal vampire romance, and it just turned into me wanting a vampire boyfriend, and I just kind of left like Slenderman behind from there on. So I don't really know if it was just because I latched on and did something or not. I don't know, but that's how that happened. But as of now, I'm happily 26. I'm doing much better mentally. I'm no longer in any psychosis. I'm no longer doing anything like that. I just think it's interesting because I've talked to a couple other of my friends and they've had similar fantasies. But it's interesting that Slenderman, for whatever reason, is what gets all these people like fascinated and focused on this thing. Like instead of Jeff the Killer or something like that, it's specifically Slenderman. So what about Slenderman makes all these people have these fantasies and stuff?
Hypnospace Outlaw is a portal to a lost digital Eden, a warped simulacrum of the 1990s internet, where neon GIFs and MIDI jingles collide in a dreamscape accessed through sleep. As an enforcer, you're a digital janitor, policing subconscious net for infractions. A pirated cartoon here, a cruel forum post there, but beneath the pixelated charm lies a biting satire, a meditation on how the internet's wild promise of connection morphed into a labyrinth of compulsion, exploitation, and unintended consequences. It's not just a game, it's a mirror to our own entanglement with the always-on world, a world where the line between self and screen blurs into static. The internet in its infancy was a playground, a chaotic sprawl of amateur pages and unfiltered voices. Hypnospace Outlaw captures that raw energy. Users pour their hearts into garish homepages, trade virtual coins, and build communities in the liminal space of sleep. Yet, the game subtly reveals the cost of this immersion. Hypnospace isn't a place you visit, it's a place you inhabit. Night after night, your mind tethered to its pulsing code. There's no sermon here about unplugging, no finger wagging at screen time. Instead, the game invites us to notice the quiet pull, the way a late night scroll becomes a reflex, how the net creeps into the hours meant for rest. It's a reflection on addiction, not as a moral failing, but as a design feature, a byproduct of systems that reward endless engagement. This is where Merchant Soft, the game's fictional corporate overlord, enters the frame. They're the architects of hypnospace, peddling headbands that beam the internet into sleeping minds. Their rhetoric is all about community and connection, but their actions betray a colder motive, profit over people. They push for a sanitized, mainstream hypnospace, sidelining the quirky geeks who built its soul. Warnings about the headbands that fuse tech with flesh are brushed aside in favor of rapid expansion. The result is the Mind Crash, a catastrophic update that turns a buggy rollout into a lethal one, claiming lives in the name of progress. It's a stark allegory for corporate greed, where safety is a footnote to market share. We see it in our world too. Platforms optimized for addiction, data breaches that expose millions, all born from the same calculus, growth at any cost. Hypnospace Outlaw doesn't preach. It simply shows the wreckage and lets it speak. The wreckage is what makes Hypnospace Outlaw a torment nexus, a term born from a sci-fi jest, where dystopian warnings are mistaken for blueprints. Imagine a novel cautioning against neural networks that trap minds in endless virtual loops, only for a tech giant to declare, "We've built it." Hypnospace is that nexus. A dream net meant to liberate, twisted into a tool of control. Merchant Soft's headbands echo the dystopian tech of cyberpunk lore, where innovation becomes entrapment. The game's genius lies in its tone, not grim foreboding, but a playful, nostalgic facade that makes the critique cut deeper. It's the internet we loved, weaponized against us, it's risked, ignored until they're fatal. Here, Neuromancer casts a long shadow. William Gibson's 1984 novel gave us The Matrix, a shared hallucination of data, where hackers like Case chase thrills amid corporate machinations. Hypnospace is its spiritual heir, swapping neon-drenched noir for retro web quiche. Both stories grapple with the disillusion of self into system. Case's body lies dormant while his mind rides the Matrix. Hypnospace users surrender sleep to a digital dream. In both, corporations, Tessier, Asher Pool, and Neuromancer, and Merchant Soft and Hypnospace Outlaw wield the wires as the puppet strings, reducing users to nodes in their network. Gibson's warning was abstract, a future of meat subordinated to code. Hypnospace Outlaw makes it intimate, grounding the dystopia in familiar trappings: a forum post, a pixelated a pop-up ad that won't quit. The enforcer's role, policing petty violations while the system crumbles, mirrors Case's futile runs, both caught in web, not over their making. Hypnospace Outlaw isn't just a cautionary tale. It's a love letter to what the internet was and could have been. Its communities, for all their chaos, pulse with creativity, fan art, conspiracy, threads, virtual shrines to forgotten passions. The game's final act, set decades after the Mind Crash, turns to digital archaeology. Former users salvaging fragments of Hypnospace, piecing together a lost world. It's a poignant reminder that these spaces, flawed and exploitative as they are, hold pieces of us, our voices, our quirks, our fleeting connections. The internet, like Hypnospace, is a paradox, a place of addiction and greed, but also of human traces, too precious to let fade. This tension between freedom and control, community and commerce runs through every pixel of Hypnospace Outlaw. It doesn't demand we log off or vilify the net. Instead, it asks us to see it clearly, a dream we built together, hijacked by those who saw profit in our sleep. As we navigate our own digital sprawl apps, tracking our rest, algorithms curating our desires, Hypnospace Outlaw holds up a question. What happens when we let the Nexus tighten its grip? No Players Online strands you in a retro first-person shooter, a capture-the-flag arena where no one but you plays. The silence is heavy, broken only by a glitchy shadow and the pot shots you find yourself taking at the game's environment. The game's lo-fi hum and pixelated haze pulse with dark and depressing but oddly comforting aesthetics with a vaporwave-esque nostalgic ache, like a forgotten Flash game site glowing in the dark. The empty server isn't just a game, it's a digital mausoleum, each area a monument to loss. Transhumanists dream of uploading consciousness to the internet, escaping mortality. Projects like the 2045 Initiative propose digital avatars preserving your mind. It's sci-fi, but the tech like neural networks and brain-computer interfaces fuel speculation. On X and obscure forums, users post about mind uploading as a future where personalities live in servers. Yet ethical and technical hurdles loom. Is a digital copy really you? Could it become a ghost, like John's wife in No Players Online? Chaos Magic's belief-shaping aligns here. Uploading requires faith in tech as a soul vessel. Different discussions highlight fears of digital entrapment, where uploaded minds might linger in forgotten servers, echoing the game's empty lobbies. To understand digital immortality, we need to talk chaos magic, not wands and spells, but the radical, postmodern, metaphysical practice born in 1970s England, chaos magic, emerging from the punk underground and neo-pagan fringes. Chaos magic rejects rigid traditions like those of Aleister Crowley or Wicca. Instead, it's a DIY occultism, where belief is the ultimate tool. Pioneered by figures like Peter J. Carroll and Ray Sherwin, it draws from an artist, Austin Osman Speyer's sigil magic, condensing desires into abstract symbols, charging them with gnosis, an altered state of focus, and forgetting them to let the subconscious manifest reality. At its core, chaos magic posits that all occult systems are arbitrary symbol sets, effective only because you believe them to be. No absolute truth, just postmodern skepticism. Reality is malleable, shaped by will and paradigm shifts. Practitioners enter gnosis through meditation, exhaustion, or even ecstasy to bypass the conscious mind's filter. Sigils became pop culture hacks, broken earbuds for divination. Elixir, gods, influencers, and fictional characters hold equal sway. These fragments come together in their own ways. A haunted game, a belief-shaping practice, a dream of digital eternity. Anime like Serial Experiments Lain and live-action movies like Pulse, dissolving selfhood, form a requiem for the internet as a mirror of our own melancholy. Mixed and conflicting aesthetics define these spaces. The memory of forgotten chat rooms, the dying whisper of lo-fi beats in an empty server. It's the feeling of scrolling what once used to be Twitter at 3 a.m., baked in a hypnotic digital glow, chasing meaning in always changing timelines, where truth can be reduced to creative writing projects and the failing projection of someone vying for absolute control.